We'll start by connecting to breath. Breath brings us to body. Breath brings us back to sensory. Because we could have all of the insights, all of the best ideas, but it needs to be realized through a body. So soften the abdomen, which allows us to have just a slightly more abdominal breath. And then we'll have that rib cage breath where the ribs expand in a more lateral or toward the horizon way. You may notice there's a little bit of change in the abdominal breath when we do this. And now, taking a couple of deep breaths into the back, the upper back. So this is the between the shoulder blades area. This upper thoracic breath. It's really amazing what we can tour with just a small handful of different ways of breathing. All right, we're going to begin right in with the hip area. So let's go left over right. I'm going to get a little support. We're going shoelace, but I want you to have it bolstered up in whatever way that you need. So left over right shoelace. And we're working Kapalabhati and we're working with the hip. So let's begin with the Kapalabhati. Short, sharp exhales, active feet, belly relaxes between each pump. So we'll do some. That's a good sum. And I will go left hand to left thigh. Ensure your hand's nearer to the hip than the knee. Set the right hand down beside you. And again, flex again the foot, engage those shin muscles, or press the heel out away from the calf. Inhale. This is that more abdominal, but also low hip, pelvic way of breathing. And as you're exhaling, just starting to recruit and find some of those same Kapalabhati muscles. But the way that I'm utilizing them, of course, is in a much smoother fashion. I'm not punctuating with them, but almost softly draining with them. Take a couple more breaths here. All right, release. Let's unwind that side. We'll switch the sides. Really important to make shoelace work for you. We'll start first with a Kapalabhati. And so as you're working the Kapalabhati, now that we kind of know how this will turn out, feel those places between the hip bone that engage to pump. Let's begin the pump. That's a good amount. And then unlocking the hip, left hand ground, right hand thigh. So in a sense, we're just starting to exercise or wake up the waist area musculature and tissue. Admittedly, I'm going to tell you what I watched, and it made me think about how we start breathing. I watched a man in his village making a quilt entirely out of silk. I'd never seen this way of textile work. But to see the 5-6 people take a teeny little silk wrap and just spread it out the size of a large table. The delicate handling of the silk kind of reminds me about how we can handle the tissues at the very onset of our day, of our practice. So we'll release that. We don't have to tear things to start things, right? So we'll unwind, we'll lie back, and if you need a little more steadiness around the sacrum, plant the feet on the ground, knees bent. If you want to take the feet off the ground, it's just a different abdominal pressure to work with. So what's the trade-off? I don't know, maybe feet down, maybe get a little more sacral sensitivity. Maybe feet up, there's a little more physical efforting. Inhale, float the head, the shoulder blades off the ground. So this is that more abdominal breath, between the hips breath, into that pelvic abdominal breath. And then holding the breath, feel it's just an almost pulse of activity below the navel. That may actually shift the pelvis, the sacrum. And then exhale, reach the left leg out. Engage the quadriceps, splay the foot bones, and sink the low belly in, together, down. All right, inhale, set that left foot down. And we'll keep the shoulder blades up. And pause, there's just a little moment of activity beneath the navel. And then exhale, reach out right leg. Engage the quad. So turning on those muscles above the knee, below the knee, reaching through the foot bones, splaying them open. Sink, drawing the belly in, together, down. All right, inhale. Abdominal, the little pulse that puts the sacrum nearer or onto the ground, and then exhale. We're attempting to move the leg with that pulse of engagement, still functioning, still kind of maintaining the pelvis as is. And then sink and draw the belly together and in. Inhale, setting the left foot down or bending the left knee. Yeah, so here's that little pulse. It puts the sacrum on the ground. Exhale, the right leg moves independent of the pelvis. So the challenge isn't in lifting the leg. I know you can do that. The challenge is in moving the leg as distinct, as independent from the pelvis. Sink the belly down. All right, let's continue. We'll do about 3 more each side. So is it possible to feel both the stillness in an area of the body while there's a movingness about that area of the body? So when we reduce extraneous movement, we're not quelling movement, we're not stifling the body, we're not stifling expression, we're simply eliminating, paring away what doesn't help make clearer. All right. While we're lying, we'll do one more. If you've got your roller block nearby, let's use it. We'll go legs vertical. So as I'm making legs vertical, you can feel the thigh bones moving down as much as the shins or the foot bones moving up. Inhaling to the bottom of the thigh bones, just right where the ball and the socket are. It's very much like that sacral breath. I'll engage the inner legs on that prop and feel all of that softish tissue growing, lengthening toward the sky, lengthening toward the ground. Exhale, float the head and the shoulder blades off the ground. Still engaging the inner legs. You can keep going into that. Which direction are those fibers moving? Is there motion in those inner thighs? Sink the belly in and down. Okay, inhaling, we'll set the head down, letting those pressures just come off for a moment. And then we re-engage, inner legs squeeze. Now feel the direction that we can take through those inner thighs. So we reach vertically upward, vertically downward. Exhale, head, shoulder blades off ground. And maybe you feel like one groin kind of gets pulled in toward the hip socket and one leg may feel like it's reaching away from the hip socket. Sink the belly down, in. Inhale, we'll set the head down, letting go the musculature, the legs, still holding onto the prop. And squeeze, re-engage. Feel how the legs, that internal movement occurs. Exhale, float the head and the shoulder blades. So you can track the movement of the mind. If your mind is being carried up toward the knee, you'll know something. If your mind is being carried in toward the hip socket, you'll know something about that subtle directionality. You'll know how the mind is being pulled or drawn or moved. All right, inhale, set the head down. Let's keep going. You don't even have to count. We'll make these the last two. So finish the one that you're on and do one more. All right, we're going to keep the prop between the legs for bridge. So when you're through, we'll set feet down, hip width, heels fingertip distance away. And exhaling, engage with the legs, just slightly, tailbone shifts. There's that lower abdomen. And we're lifting the pelvis, the spine, away from ground. Those inner legs can work quite a bit. And as you're breathing, how do we explore feeling that breath in the low back? So it's a little bit of that abdominal breath, that between the hips breath. Now these final 3 breaths in bridge, and feel the inner legs expanding. Maybe that expands toward the hip socket. Maybe there's movement away from the hip socket. And we'll release. Okay. Setting the spine down. When we roll over and press up, let's go to standing first. I know, we'll get some dolphin in. Let's go standing. If you need a wall, just go right ahead and grab it. We're going to start with tree and standing pigeon. So tree first. So that was a lot of inner leg stuff. Here we go, right foot to inner left thigh. Right foot, inner left thigh. So sometimes when I wear looser clothing, the foot or the contact gets a little mushy and slippy, so I might have to just kind of hold my ankle in place while I press. And we could also go hands in front of heart, or arms overhead. If you're going arms overhead, reach, telescope those ribs up. And release. Left side tree. So that's left sole of foot, inner right thigh. So again, this is a practice of, perceiving as a body. It's a little bit different than looking at, perceiving, looking at a body. So release. Let's go back to the first side, standing pigeon. And now we're grabbing the right foot with both hands. You always have this option of supporting the thigh, which supports the knee. And release, whoops. And we'll trade sides. So standing pigeon, left side. So how we perceive the mind, how we perceive the body, little different mechanics. But if we want to know the movement of the mind or the non-movement of the mind, the contractedness, we can look in the body just in the same way. If we want to know how wind moves across the landscape, we look at the landscape and see the little ripples and erosions. We'll release. We'll stand at the top of the mat. We'll have the option in a few moments getting into the sun to either prop our hands up for some added ease in Turbo Dog, or we can do without the blocks or the elevation. But here we go. Inhale, and taking arms up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll start with the left foot, step the left foot back. Let's go knee up, heel up. And it's fine if you leave the hands down, but here we are in lunge. Okay. Now we did a little thing together yesterday. It was pulling the thigh toward the chest. We're going to repeat it here. So if you had your hands up, bring them down to the ground. And as you're inhaling, pull your right thigh, this is your front thigh, into your chest. So it's kind of an active move. And settle the palms down. As you exhale, pull that foot away from the ground, step it back, and lower down. Belly to earth. Hands forward, cobra. Inhale. Send the thighs back as you lift and pull, heart, chest forward. Exhale, lower, reset hands under chest. Downward dog. Now here, we're moving into Turbo Dog. So you decide if you want to prop your hands up. It just makes it muscularly or it eases the effort. If you are using blocks, set those blocks out so that your thumb and pinky can splay out across the block.
instead of grabbing the block with your thumb tip. So let that energy move through the thumb. Don't just let it kink up in the digits. And then as we're wrapping the shoulders, turning the biceps to face forward, start to send the elbows down. And we'll keep the elbows in this altitude, this turbo dog, this altitude. Inhale, raise the right leg up without lifting the elbows. Keep them hovering at that exact distance. It's probably 1 to 3 inches higher than your palms. And we'll set right foot down. Let me switch sides, left foot. If your hands are on blocks, spread out through the thumb and the pinky. It's really enticing to grab the block. I urge you, ungrab the block, anti-grab, open up the hands. All right, here's our practice. Inhale, draw the left knee toward the sternum. So you're pulling with that hip flexor, lifting up between the shoulder blades, setting that left foot down. And we're in lunge, other side. Knee up, heel up. And I'm leaving the hands down because we're going to do that hip flexor thing in just a moment. So first connect to that abdominal breath, that pelvic abdominal breath. So when we do those abdominals on the ground, I'm always kind of pointing us at feeling the recruitment of this area around the hip bone, between the hip bone. You can exhale with that. And as we exhale and find out how to exhale with this part of our torso, this navel hip bone area, part of our torso, it'll start to move and massage and spread and work those tissues all around the hip and the back. All right, now the hip flexor moment has arrived. Even though your left thigh won't necessarily move anywhere, pull as if pulling left thigh to chest. There you go. And listen to the quality of breath. And on your next exhale, we'll step that right foot forward, folding. So it does get to kind of spring forward. Inhale, come up to standing. Exhaling, hands to heart. All right, slightly different. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, fold. Lunge, inhale, right foot back. Again, knee up, heel up. Easy twisting lunge. I'm setting the right hand down inside the foot. That'd be the left foot. Exhaling, raising the left arm towards sky. And inhale, place left hand down. Exhaling, chaturanga. Step left foot back. Draw the shoulders away from the jawline as you lower. Cobra. Start with the shoulders away from the jaw. So I've been watching this a little bit. I'm still figuring out how to say it. But usually when we start and we put our hands nice and close to our shoulders in Cobra, we shrug. We're actually starting from a neck crowded shrug. You can place those hands and move the shoulders. They're super mobile. Inhale, Cobra. Exhaling, lower. Reset hands under the chest. The shoulders, I still haven't shrugged them or crowded them into my neck. Still sending them, smoothing them down away from my neck and jaw. Downward dog. All right, now from downward dog, inhale, raise left foot. Now, whether the right heel is on the ground or not, doesn't matter. Reach through that left leg, straighten the left, engaging the muscles around the knee to open up that back of knee. There's so many like little and kind of easy ways that we can start to clear these major joint areas. And clear is just a way of using movement to remember circulation, to remember that pulsation of life that renews and refreshes and fluidizes and secretes. Good, let's set that left foot down. And keep turning those biceps to face forward. That's that rotation, that wrapping. Inhale, we'll take the right foot, raising it, reaching it out, back. Keep turning those biceps. All right, here's that lunge. Inhale, draw the right knee toward the sternum. Use those hip flexors. Actively pull it up to the chest. Setting it down between the hands. Lunge. Back knee is up. Back heel is up. Easy twisting lunge. We'll set left hand down. Drawing the right arm up. For these, I've been leaving my heel up. And inhale, bring the right hand down. And exhaling, step the left foot forward. Fold. Inhale, stand. We'll reach arms overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart. All right, right, so we're going to pause right here at the top, couple poses, standing alternate twist and a standing half lotus. So I'm going to turn this way. Let's start with the right side. Left hand, grab outer edge of right foot. That means we're twisting to our right or over our right thigh. What might be kind of cool is as you're allowing that left side of the shoulder blade and the lat to kind of spread broadly, feel for that effortless elongation through the neck. Feel how the skull can lift away from all of that trap and lat on that left side. Give it just a moment more here. So you can feel that telescoping all the way through the neck vertebra. All right, inhaling, bending right knee, returning to face forward. And that standing half lotus, I'm tucking. Now the knee pointing down, the foot way up on my hip crease, way up. And I'm holding my ankle and foot here. Now you can get quite active in these deep rotators, or you can actively draw your half lotus leg into that space behind you. And we'll release that side. Let's have the same fun on the other side. So the standing alternate twist. Left hand. Oh, pardon me, that's not my left. Say that again. Right hand, left foot. Right hand grabs outer edge of left foot. Which means we're turning or twisting to our left. And that half lotus as we bend the left knee. Bring, tuck that foot into the right hip crease. So pretty high up. As long as the knee tolerates, we go pretty high with that foot. Let's make it express our verticality here. Right, which is always going to pertain to our relationship to gravity, and structure and ascent, right? Verticality is such an interesting meditation in the body. And release. All right, so I think it's a pretty good setup for now going upside down. So here's our options. If you're stepping up or kicking up into handstand, we're going to work handstand, half lotus. Now sometimes what happens, we get up into handstand and then we just kind of are getting a foot in the vicinity of the thigh. Some people get pretty clever and they use the other wall leg to kind of fold and pull that foot into the hip crease. You can be clever if you want. Now, if you're not kicking up, let me show. It looks like emergence. It's downward dog on the wall and then working the half lotus component. So if I were desiring the support of wall, I would do downward dog on wall. And then drawing foot just right up the inner leg and giving it a home in half lotus. Okay. Both sides. Let's meet back in a moment. And I'll just keep my eyeballs peeled on all your great sunrises and horizon views there. There you go. That's it. Good. And we did all that inner leg stuff so we can use the inner leg. That, yes, yes, yes. That's it. That's it, B. That's it. Pull, use those hip flexors, pull that leg into half lotus. Nice. All right. So take a moment to bring yourself to conclude those both sides, which I think we're pretty well there. And if you need a block or two, I'm going to do just the preparatory piece of that Galavasana. Don't trust my Sanskrit, but crossing ankle over thigh and beginning the process of fold. So I've started with my right ankle over my left thigh. Now I like for you to keep the left foot pointed, oriented forward. Let the left leg bend a little bit. And I start to fold, just getting my arms to come in front of the shin. So for now, we're just going to do the fold portion. Really strong flex in the foot, because we're going to do one more move here. All right. So I'm going to just manually just assist my right foot down just so it glides. There's no surprise thunks. And we'll switch sides. So we'll go left ankle over right thigh. All right. And this is occurring like a pigeon or a shoelace. So I know we're doing pigeons and half lotuses. Left ankle is nearer than the knee part of the muscle. And we're folding. All right, just manually set that left foot down to the ground. And do one more. This could be done standing or seated. We'll do it standing today. Preemptively, I'm grabbing my strap. I'll show you how to use a prop here. I'll face you. So I'm going back to the right side, our first side. And I'm getting that half lotus. And droop. The right hand can go behind back and either grab the foot or grab your loop, your strap. Okay. Now, I'm going to do that first. Now I also want you to undo it because I want to show you, now that you know where you're going with the foot, that one way is to fold two blocks, and I don't have the belief that that will feel great on everyone's knees. So let me also turn and show you this. So I'm getting that shower distance from the wall so that I can halt my fold before or at 90 degree. Okay. All right, now that you see the whole picture, our right foot's in half lotus. Our right hand goes behind back to connect to foot. So maybe this is our pose. This is where we want to go. We just want to work carefully with our half lotus. Perfect. If you want to do any of the amount of folding, okay, balance on a straight leg half lotus does get kind of tippy, so you decide if you want to be near a wall. Now as I fold, of course, there is a little compression that goes on around the knee, so right. So we're going to ease up out of that side, and let's switch sides. Now that you know where we're heading, you'll know if you want to face the wall or be near it. We're going left foot half lotus, left hand connecting to left foot by going behind back. All right. Option 1, work with no fold. Option 2, work with fold, using the wall like shower, just partial fold. Or folding forward. All right. And we release. Whoop. Let's settle back onto the ground. We'll do some Shavasana. If you want to create a little berm of softness under your knees, you can set that up. What I like about a little setup under the knees is you can play with the feeling, the sensation of releasing the shins and the calves downward from the knees. You know, all of these are just plays. Just getting really flexible in our skill of releasing, opening, revealing, contacting, animating, rebuilding. If we want to know how the mind moves, the nature of the mind, we can go to the body. We can see how it's moved the body many, many times. Right. when you're ready. We'll bend knees, we'll turn to a side. Namaste.